रेडियो उड़ान की अपडेट्स लेने के लिए इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और इस वीडियो को ज्यादा से ज्यादा लाइक कीजिए और शेयर कीजिए। फॉर मोर इन्फो लॉग ऑन टू www.radioudan.com।
इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेने वाले प्रतिभागियों के द्वारा दी जाने वाली जानकारी अथवा की जाने वाली चर्चा वास्तविक और काल्पनिक दोनों ही हो सकती हैं। चर्चा के दौरान किसी व्यक्ति के द्वारा दिए गए कथन एवं तथ्य के लिए कार्यक्रम के प्रस्तोता, प्रस्तुतकर्ता अथवा रेडियो स्टेशन प्रत्यक्ष या अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से जिम्मेवार नहीं है।
जी दोस्तों, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल। मैं दानिश महाजन प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में आपका स्वागत करता हूं। प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में हम बात करते हैं डिसेबिलिटी से रिलेटेड किसी टॉपिक पे, जहां आपको मिलवाते हैं किसी पर्सनैलिटी से, ताकि उनकी लाइफ से हम प्रेरणा लेके आगे बढ़ सकें। आज के प्रोग्राम में जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं वो एक विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड हैं, हाई कोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में लॉयर हैं। उन्हें इस साल नेशनल अवार्ड से नवाजा गया है अंडर सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड कैटेगरी। तो सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड में इन्हें नेशनल अवार्ड मिला है। तो इनके जीवन के बारे में बात करेंगे, इनके काम के बारे में बात करेंगे। ये कई ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, एनएफबी के साथ, सक्षम इंडिया के साथ, नेत्र उदय के साथ और अलायंस क्लब के साथ। उनके काम काजों के बारे में भी इनसे जानकारी लेंगे। पहले जानेंगे इनकी लाइफ के बारे में, इनकी लाइफ जर्नी के बारे में। सो वी हैव वेंकटा कृष्णन from Chennai. Thank you so much, Venkata ji, for giving us time, and many congratulations for the national award.
Thank you, and first of all, I should really thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and because this will be, what shall I say, eye-opener for many people who they feel that because of our disability we will not be able to achieve many things. No, it is not that. We can achieve everything. So for giving this promotion, I really thank you once again.
Mr. Venkata, tell us about your childhood and about your disability.
Sir, I was born in the year 1976 at Nellore, Andhra Pradesh, after 3 elder sisters. My father was an official in Life Insurance Corporation of India. And at that time, after 6 months, my parents realized, that is 6 months of my birth, what I say, my parents realized that I'm not able to see properly. So they took me to Chennai and they took me to various eye institutions. Initially, I was diagnosed with the wrong diagnosis, that there was a problem with my optic nerves. And subsequently, they got transferred to Chennai when I was 5 years old. So in the early stages, I studied in the Little Flower School for the Blind at Chennai. And after a particular stage, that is from 6th standard, I wanted to continue my further education only in English medium, not in Tamil medium. So I joined integrated system of education where I was only blind student in that school. The name of the school is Kesari Higher Secondary School in Chennai, where I did up to my plus 2, that is 12th standard, where I stood first for the state in the year 1992, where the then Chief Minister had really honored me with a gold medal and everything. And it was the first time that that school had also got a state rank holder.
Great. So, you said you were from Andhra Pradesh, then migrated to Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
There you started your study.
Yes.
Were your family aware of the fact that blind can study in 1976? What were the initial challenges?
Sir, as I said earlier, I am the only blind person in my entire family. The entire family, what I mean is not only on my mother's side, but also on father's side. For 3-4 generations, you can take, I am the only blind person. So they were initially very shocked, very dejected, frustrated and disappointed. But once they have come to Chennai to a certain level, they understood that we have to progress. There is no other go. So they initially put me to a blind school. It's called the Little Flower School for the Blind in Chennai, which is a very famous school, where I studied up to 5th standard. Problem there was that from 6th standard, the medium of education was only Tamil. But my parents had a different view. See, having born blind, let him be educated in English and let him try out certain advanced things so that in future he has to be independent. How long we can support him or how long we'll be with them, no one knows. So we have to get him an integrated education, where we tried for a school called Kesari Higher Secondary School. Initially, they were reluctant to have me because they said that we have never come across a blind student among the students. We don't know how to teach. Do he require any special teaching, etc.? Initially, my parents said, you first have him in your school for 1 month and see. He is like a normal student where the normal teaching itself is enough. So initially they tried out with me for 1 month in that school. And after seeing my progress, they said, I think we'll be able to manage him. That's what the initial said. But as the years progressed and when I started becoming a topper in the class, they were very happy with me. And they were willing to provide scribe for me to write exams and all those things.
Did you face any challenge at that time?
So at the time, the challenge was the entire system of education will be normal. That is in the normal writing mode. So what I have to do is, I have to purchase books, ask my mother to read the books, and I will type it in the Braille typewriter. So that itself for almost the first 6 months of my academic year will be spent for typing those books which are in the normal writing to Braille. There in the next 6 months only, I have to catch up with the other students and do it, because at that juncture there was not much of this audio libraries, audio books, or we did not have any CDs, or no NGO was willing to even provide. In fact, even the Braille typewriters were not available in Chennai at that time. So we had to purchase this Braille typewriter from Hyderabad, and each time when the Braille typewriter is going out of order, we have to courier it to Hyderabad. They will repair, and again they will be sending back to. It was called as Taj Mission. So there were many challenges until +2. The first 6 months of my academic year will go only for typing the books in Braille and binding. Thereafter only I'll be able to cope up and match the other students in the next 6 months.
When did you think of becoming lawyer? Did any particular incident occur? Did you face any discrimination? So you thought, no, that's the time I need to get into judiciary and fight for the rights?
Yes. After my completion of my schooling, I joined the Vivekananda College for my bachelor's degree in history, where again I stood first in the university. I have a clamor for human resource development. I don't know, I like it so developed. So I tried to write MBA entrance exam at the Madras University, and the Vice Chancellor refused to permit me to write that MBA exam in the 93, where because of the ground, so far no blind has studied MBA, and MBA is, actually it was 96, I'm very sorry, it was 96. So no blind has so far studied MBA. So thereafter, there was a subject called MBA in social work, where human resources was also one of the branches. So I again attended the entrance for MA social work, where I stood first in the entrance. But unfortunately, showing my blindness, I was offered only medical psychiatry or community development. The institution refused to give HR. So again I was dejected. So what I did was, so unless someone should fight it out for the cause of the differently abled, these issues may not be sorted out, because everywhere, wherever we go to study, we are not able to read the course what we want. Everyone, they say blind it's not possible, blind it's not. Even I shouted at the HOD in my school of social work. I asked them, when all the papers are theoretical, what is the difficulty for a blind person to study that MA in human resource development? Suppose if you say there is a paper called accounts, or those days there was not much technological assistance for accounts or statistics, but they were not able to provide a proper answer. So at this juncture, I thought, so let me not join this MA social work. Let me take up law entrance, do law, and I should stop fighting for the welfare of the different able, not only the visual impact, but for the entire different able. So I again wrote the law entrance. Fortunately and unfortunately, again I stood first in the entrance. So I was offered seat in the Madras Law, Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, where I completed my bachelor's degree. And at the will of my mom, who said, because you were not given MBA, you should complete a master's in law. So to satisfy her, I did my master's degree in law in international law from the Madras University, where the entrance to the master's degree in international law was so tough. It was a two-tier structure. One, I have to write the entrance, and second, I have to attend the interview. Both of which I came out with the flying colors. Then I did my international law, and thereafter I said enough is enough. I don't want my PhD in law. So somewhere I should take up for the cause of the differently abled. Otherwise, the society is only going backwards, not forward.
True. So, two things I want to know from you. A, tell us about your journey that you said you started working for the empowerment of persons with disability. A, I want you to tell people with disabilities what are the opportunities available for a lawyer, for a blind lawyer in judiciary, or after being a lawyer, what are the employment opportunities available for them?
Yes.
B, I want to know from you, did you file any litigation of your own for the welfare of empowerment of persons with disabilities?
Yes. Before that, I want to highlight one thing. Though I did my master's in international law, enrolled as an advocate in Bar Council, the journey was not so easy because many seniors were reluctant to take me as a junior. They gave all simple, vague reasons. The courts are really heavily crowded. You will not be provided a seat to sit. People will push you. It's very difficult. You have to read a lot of books. You have to read a lot of documents. And many so-called the big seniors of today refused me to take as a junior. Then I found out a senior who was willing to take me as a junior, who was willing to provide me with all self-confidence I required. So thereafter, I joined that office. His name is Mr. V. Narayanaswamy. Why I should now tell his name is, he was the only person in the entire South India to take visually impaired as his juniors. At that time, except him, no other senior was willing to even encourage a visually impaired to become a lawyer. So after I became a lawyer, it was he who instilled the confidence that I can also become a very good advocate. Not only an advocate, you can become a good attorney. See, there are two stages in advocate. One is a solicitor, another is an attorney. An attorney is a person who has to argue the matter. It's called the arguing counsel. He said you can very well become an arguing counsel. You can also quote a lot of citations, judgments, and you can win cases. Due to his confidence, I am here today. And with regard to the two questions raised by you, what I found was in the initial stages when we started fighting for the welfare of the differently abled, like access barrier-free environment, or right to education, right to employment, etc. Even judges were reluctant to provide an order on one simple ground. How do you expect a hearing impaired person to become an engineer in BSNL? How do you expect an orthopedical person to do this financial job, this, that, etc.? It was after great perseveration as well as great deal of arguments, and which we have to do with great conviction, because the questions, say for example, I faced a litigation where a hearing impaired who is a master's in injury was rejected a job in BSNL. The judge asked me one pertinent question. If someone comes and says that his phone is not working, how do you expect him to understand and reply? I said, sir, nowadays there are a lot of technology. Unfortunately, with the technology, we are not using anything in the court. But he is working in BSNL, which is a technical institution, where he can even get a written request or an SMS request from a customer and do it. And it is not necessary for an assistant engineer directly to receive the complaint. The staff junior to him can receive a complaint, can communicate to him in a manner which is understandable to him, where he can perform his job. The judge said, then can you show me an instance where a person with hearing impaired operating computer? I said, yes. You provide me time in your chamber. I'll bring that person. I'll show. No, first you have to come and operate the computer. You said you are a blind person. You come and operate the computer. So I took my computer. I showed him how I operate computer. He was convinced. But one thing I have to say, after when I was able to convince him, The very next hearing, he said that you have to provide the job to the petition. That is the person who is hearing impaired. After my order, now almost some 25 to 30 hearing impaired people joined as juniors, junior engineers in BSNL Tamil Nadu circle. With second thing, usually I file writ petitions on the name of the institutions where I argue the matter. Why I don't file writ petitions on 14 person is why I always feel that I should have an opportunity to demonstrate certain things with the judges.
Great. So, for a lawyer, two things coming in my mind. A, you told us about your journey. You would be very frustrating at that moment. So, how did you tackle the situation? Number one, do you think now time has changed in judiciary too, from the period you joined as an advocate or for the coming generation?
Very well, sir. Time has changed a lot. When I became a judiciary, the judges were not so reciprocal. In sense, they will be hearing what we are arguing. They will not even give anything that is, suppose they have a doubt. They will simply show their hand. They don't understand that we are a blind person. So we have to tell, sir, excuse me, sir, they have got this doubt. They were not seeing. But now, after putting more than 20 years of service, when the judge sees a blind person arguing, if he has any doubt in the case, say, excuse me, Mr. Counsel, what do you want to say for a particular thing? Or what do you want to say for this thing? What do you want to say for that thing? Now, to that level, they have come down. Secondly, suppose your blind counsel is asking, Mr. Counsel, previously they used to say. Now they go through the name and they say Mr. Venkata Krishna, we have a doubt. So, to that level, they address us saying that we want to get an answer from you. That level they have extended, number one. Number two, the judiciary has changed. Many orders are now being pronounced. After pronouncement, many orders are now being printed in Braille. As far as Madras High Court is concerned, due to my endeavors and efforts, I have managed to get them a Braille printer, and now they are having a Braille printer. Many orders are also now printed in Braille. 3, technically the websites, the High Court websites and the other E-Court websites, slowly they are, I'm not saying it is 100% disabled friendly, but to a greater extent compared to other banking websites, it is, we can say, up to 60-70% differently able friendly. Now the judges have stopped questioning how you have become advocate, why you have become advocate. Now they have stopped only seeing you as a successful advocate. After I received the President Award for this self-employment, 9 judges voluntarily called me and congratulated me. So now there's a definite change in the
Venkata Krishna, okay, so now it's a very sensitive topic, so I need to draw your attention. We have achieved a lot from the judiciary, as you are stating.
Yes.
Particularly in last 10 to 20 years, we have got many progressive judgments. But at the same time, no, we had a report where it has been shown only few courts been audited, accessibility audits.
Yes.
There is no proper accessibility audit in the courts till now. There are so many accessibility related issues still existing in the Indian judiciary. Now we had case Surinder Mohan versus State of Tamil Nadu and other, where he was denied, he cannot be a judge. So court put limits that you need certain amount of vision, eyesight, and certain amount of disability. Then it has been further argued, so we got the remedy. Still, there are so many cases where judiciary do not sound as proactive as it must be. What's the reason?
The reason, what happens is, when the judiciary has 2 systems. One, the judges, the other is the law department, which is controlling the judiciary. Definitely there is a red tapeism in the law department. They are not proactive. Still they feel to pass a judgment you need vision. For doing this, you have to do with it like this, etc. Thirdly, the judges, as I said, the websites are differently. Braille printers are provided, but the judges are not provided with any items such as laptops or computers, and the government authorities are not able to update their knowledge in the field of technology that the differently abled are enjoying today. See, gone are those days where we will not be able to operate a mobile phone, we will not be able to operate a tablet, we will not be in a position to operate a laptop, desktop, etc. Now everything we are able to do. Maybe a matter of few seconds, there may be a delay, I don't deny that. But now as on day, we are able to enjoy, or we are able to work with all the electronic gadgets that are so far made available. But the government, even in Tamil Nadu, that's what I was complaining to the Chief Commissioner of Disabilities. See, still you are not willing to update. There are new technologies have come, not only with JAWS. Now there are mobile phones which have talkbacks. There are voiceovers in iPhones, X, Y, Z, everything has come. Android TVs have come, smart TVs have come, where we can have this features. But still you are not willing to update. Still you feel a blind man has to only see. A person with deaf only has to hear. A person who can't talk is unfair. See, the only people who are slightly in an advantageous position is only orthopedical handicap. So, though despite our efforts, judiciary has woken up. Definitely, I will say the judiciary has not woken up to its full level. Secondly, there are certain states where you don't find a differently abled advocate. Say, for example, in Andhra Pradesh, in Karnataka, we don't find much of a differently abled advocates. In Kerala also, especially if you go to Odisha. So these are the issues where they still doubt. When I went to Calcutta High Court to argue a matter before a division bench, the judges expressed their shock to say that you have visual impaired. How visual impaired can be an advocate? It was great shocking to me in 2014. Why, when we are in 2014, still the Calcutta High Court expresses its anxiety and says how a blind person could argue. So, still not many people are taking.
What needs to be changed in judiciary?
The mindset has to be changed, for which there should be the not only the judiciary, the people at large should be sincere.
You said orthopedic community is having bit advantage as compared to other disabled. But when we compare, there are no ramps, there are no accessible toilet for them, so they are also facing a lot of issues.
They are facing only issues relating to accessibility,
not related to mindset. That I agree.
Or providing them an employment opportunity.
Great.
Say, for example, if orthopedical handicap wants to do a chartered accountancy or a company secretary, is willingly taken, is willingly put an internship. Suppose the same thing if a hearing impaired or a blind person comes, no. There I agree. Accessibility ratio, I accept, sir. All the differently abled are treated on par. That is on par. What I mean is, no one is having accessible facilities in India. Whether you are blind or you are an orthopedic.
According to you, what are the main challenges? I'm talking about current scenario today, before disability sector. According to you, what are the 2-3 main issues we need to tackle?
First is the sensitization. Unless you sensitize the people that we don't require sympathy, we only require your support to help us to grow further. Support, what we mean, not the financial support, providing access-free environment, to stopping heckling or insulting us. 3, when we are working with you, small things you can do. Suppose if I say suddenly there is no sound from my jaws, is my monitor working? All those small things, small kinds of helps you can do. And 4, treat us like you are. Suppose you are all going for a simple issue. There are many people now who are trying to get jobs in private sector, but the existing employees don't treat them as their subordinates or colleagues or equals. They try to avoid, they don't even mix with them. During lunchtime they don't even talk. Suppose if someone says that he likes a particular reviewer, hey, you are a blind man. What is it you are going to do by seeing a movie? Hey, you are a hearing impaired man. What is it you are going to do by hearing a particular thing? All those things has to be sensitized. Either he's a blind, or is a deaf and dumb person, or is an orthopedical impaired. That is irrelevant. Everyone have senses. Everyone have feelings. Everyone have blood. Everyone have flesh. All feelings are same for one and
Does judiciary have equal opportunity policy for the persons with disability?
Merely by saying section 7 is there, all people have to be treated equally. Merely the section 3 of the Disabilities Act is there, all people should not be discriminated alone is not necessary. Sir, what I say is the persons with Disabilities Act 2016 is only in paper. I don't want that into the paper. It should come in reality. You treat them everyone as equal.
Why it is not being implemented according to you? It's been 5 years now.
Because the same, the power of the executive, judiciary and legislature, all the three are vested with only one person called the Chief Commissioner.
That is also not there from last 3 years.
Yes, so he should either have an executive authority or a judicial authority or a legislative authority. You cannot have all the three. So you only become a subordinate to the government and you are only a mouthpiece of the government. I don't want authority who is a mouthpiece. You have to provide. See, when you say that a person who refuses to follow or abide by the persons with disability can be punished with 6 years, 6 months imprisonment and a fine of 10,000. Use your power. Convict a person. At least others will have a fear. Oh, here is an act for the welfare of the differently abled. If we don't follow that, we will be convicted either by fine or imprisonment. You are not doing anything. See, when I go for a case in Commission of Disabilities, the Commission of Disabilities is taking a role of a mediation. I don't want a mediator role. You sit down. What has happened? So 4% reservation have to be followed. This vacancy is exclusively for the visually impaired. If I say, if that is true, why you are not allotted a seat to the visual? That should be their question.
Mr. Venkata, tell us, why didn't you choose a government job? You could have been a legal officer, you could have been a corporate lawyer, instead of practicing. What was the main goal?
My main goal is I have to fight for the differently abled as well as for the depressed sections of society. Because if I go for for example, a corporate legal head, I'll be only concentrating on the cases pertaining to corporate from morning 9 to night 9. I'm answerable to CEO, I'm answerable to COO. Suppose if a corporate refuses to provide a job to the visually impaired also, being an employee, I should only support the corporate and say visually impaired are unfit, they can't work. I have to say all those nonsense.
I appreciate it.
I don't want that. I don't want to go against my own community. See, that's what I said. If you come to my office in Chennai and see, every junior or every staff in my office is sensitized towards the need of the differently able.
Okay, one hard question. You know, a lot of people told me, I'm telling you frankly, people says you invite people in your show, then they talk big. They talk about community, they talk about issues pertaining to community, they talk about rights of persons with disability, they talk about supporting disabled sector. But that's not the reality. When we individually call them, most of them do not pick call or do not take our cases. They are just propagating on the social media, on stages, but that's not in a practical. How would you like to respond? It's not about you. Let me clarify to listeners. It's not about to you. It's about disabled lawyers, particularly visually impaired.
That attitude is totally wrong and it's condemnable. Because having come from that community, if you are not willing to serve the community, I don't know what I should say. What I feel is, less we say that is better. But as far as I am concerned, I have taken a vow that I should not charge even a single pai as fees for arguing a case for the differently abled. And number 2, wherever it is possible, even if that particular dispute is out of my jurisdiction or out of my state, try to speak to the advocate and try to get him a resolution. And number 3, I always feel that PWD Act alone is not the act. There are so many other laws which the differently able have to know. So I regularly conduct free legal aid camps for Saksham India and various other organizations where I request the differently able to come out with their present situation, what are all the cases they are facing. Suppose there may be any family dispute or there may be any property dispute for them, and I provide solutions for them also on face to face, and wherever I could intervene and resolve, I am doing it free. And today also I say, anywhere from India, in fact, at the end of this program, please feel free to share my mobile number and email ID through this. Anywhere in India, they can talk to me over phone, and whatever maximum that is possible, I am ready and willing to do for the same. And you can even test it also.
Yeah. So you can share your email ID with the listener yourself.
My email ID is ADV. It's ADV is a short form of advocate. ADV Venkatakrishnan @gmail.com. Again, I repeat.
Spell it.
A Alpha Delta Victor called ADV Venkatakrishnan VENKATAKRISHNAN @gmail.com. And my mobile number would be 988-4028-675. It is 988-4028-675. I would only request everyone, please feel free to ask any legal questions or any legal issues to either you or to your family members. I will not even charge a single fine. Need not worry.
We do not even want you, whatever, you also have to earn your bread and butter.
See, that's what I said. For no problem, any legal issue.
Yeah. So this is what I want to convey. Most of people think, and there are people who can pay, right? So you have to also earn your bread and butter. The point is not money. The point is behavioral issue, mindset issue. Okay, that we want persons. If you are claiming that you are a disability right activist, so you should pick their call and you must talk to them. That's the concern. Money is secondary issue. One can pay, one cannot pay. So that is your how minimum you can charge. That is totally up to you, or you want to serve them free. That is absolutely your choice. But the point is, at least talk to them. Sometimes your suggestion can bring light in their life.
One thing I also assure, in the event if I miss a call also, don't worry. Again, I myself will call you back and ask who this person is and what is the technique.
Two things I asked you before you did not answer. A, how did you manage when everybody was rejecting you in the courts? And what are the opportunities for the blind lawyer in today's world?
Yes, to complete that, after I got into my senior's office and after a great deal of self-confidence, I was able to get orders in a very medium way. There is not much of cases. Whatever cases I was handled by my senior, I have got orders. Slowly he had started increasing the volume of work for me, and I was also able to produce more and more results. From 2005 onwards, I am having my own individual practice, where now as on date I have got 10 juniors and all other backing staffs. Besides which, in my Delhi office, I have got another 10 juniors under me. Now the only one thing which I missed out is those people who said that I will not be able to be a successful advocate. Today they all openly come up and say that we have missed you, you have proved your success, you have proved your mettle. And what I did was, those advocates who have refused me to take me as their junior, I won cases against them by arguing against them. And some of them are today the so-called Attorney General of India and the Solicitor General of India. But I won cases against them, I have proved my mettle, and I have succeeded against them. Number two, what are all the opportunities? Now after putting so much of service and after people seeing so much of service, because as I said, I am also handling high profile corporate clients like Reliance, Aditya Birla, Vodafone, Airtel, Tatas, etc. Now many job opportunities have come. What are the job opportunities? Suppose you complete your law, you don't want to practice, you can join a corporate cell as a legal officer, or you can write a banking service exam. Same way you can become a legal officer in a bank, or you can take up Indian administrative service, where you can become a joint secretary law, under secretary law, deputy secretary law, law secretary, or you can take up local, that is the state service commission exams. Say for example in Tamil Nadu service commission is there. Those exams where in the state government you can get a job like legal officers, joint secretaries, under secretaries, law secretaries, etc. Now even you can become IAS, you can become collectors, except police service. In all other services, now you are offered job. Now through Saksham, we have made a recent representation to the Union of India, where the problem what we find is that many of the visually impaired are not in the decision making level. So the government advocates in High Court and Supreme Court, a portion of the government advocates in High Court and Supreme Court should be allotted to differently abled. Then only the issues pertaining to differently abled can be differently and properly handled. So we are hopeful that very soon even we can see few government advocates both in High Courts and Supreme Courts from the differently abled side.
So there are a lot of opportunities nowadays available.
The opportunities which will be very lucrative, and you see, gone are those days where even for getting 500 I used to suffer a lot. Now we have reached a stage where you can say if you get a good lucrative job as a legal officer in a corporate, where you can get at least minimum of 50,000 rupees per month as a salary, and if you are able to get a banking service or an administrative service, 5-figure salary has become an order of the day.
What is the importance of this national award in your life, and how do you manage your time? You are joined with many organizations. You have, as you said, 10 juniors in Tamil Nadu, 10 juniors in Delhi. How do you manage time?
Sir, I work almost 16 hours a day, where I divide my schedule and work. Every day I see to it that at least half an hour time is spent for these organizations. I myself voluntarily call the people from Saksham, or the people from Netrodaya, or the people from Lions International. What should I do? What is my assignment today, etc. Besides which, I read a lot on legal books and legal articles, and now and then every day I get frequent calls from across the country saying that I am blind, I am denied a bank account. What should I do? I immediately send a circular to their email ID or to their WhatsApp. Suppose if it is possible, I even speak to the bank officials. Suppose if any one of our blind persons is working in the bank as an official, I try to contact them and find out why can't you help him out. See, we blind people are not helping any blind person, so all those things I do. Besides which, I practice regularly in Supreme Court as well as in various high courts, and I can happily say that almost in 14 high courts I have argued and won cases successfully. So it's a very hectic job. But what makes me to work so hard is that people, those who said that I can't be as successful in this profession, now turned around, and now they are jealous of me, and now they say that you are one of the successful advocates, and future you may become a senior advocate, this, that, etc. That really make me happy. With regard to what is the importance of national award, this is definitely an important award in my life. The moment when you meet the president, shake hands with him, get the award, get a photo, it's a very emotional and thrilling moment which can be experienced, which cannot be told. But further, what it does to you is, whatever we have achieved is only nothing. Still we have to go a long way, because even in the award function there are certain discriminations. All those discriminations yet to be abolished. So still we have to go a long way, and still we have to make a sensitive society. Still though we talk about so much of equality, blind advocates have come, blind chartered accountants have come, this, that have come, still equality has not come. So the equality has to be brought. Still we have to fight a long way. That's what I'm still doing today.
What are your hobbies?
Sir, I am an ardent follower of cricket. I am crazy about cricket, and I regularly follow cricket, though I don't have time to much time to sit before a TV to watch cricket. I'm an ardent follower of cricket. I love listening to good motivational speeches. I enjoy traveling. I love traveling a lot. I never get bored in traveling, and I generally, whenever if time is available, I go for good musical concerts or good movies. But I'm basically a socializing person in Lions Club also. After the meeting, I socialize with the people and come. Even in Lions Club, people used to say, you have made us easy. Because when a blind person comes to Lions Club, initial stages we found how he's going to serve the society, how he's going to manage the society. But wherever we find, whether it's the Save the Cancer program, or it's the eye donation program, or it's the Save the Tree program. Everywhere we are able to see, and everywhere you are able to involve yourself like a normal person see, and what you are able to socialize with us, you are able to talk to us, you are able to inquire about our family. They now, as far as Lionism is concerned, I am very popular and people don't find any discrimination at all. And where I also thought of it, that as far as Lionism is concerned, I should not concentrate only on the activities of the different label, even for the welfare of the general public. I take up projects for cancer, I take up blood donations. Even I have donated blood. I have requested many differently able also to come forward and donate blood. And I do the tree saving programs, the tree planting, everything I do, because I feel that I should not curtail myself to the activities of the differently.
Absolutely, yes. What is the happiest moment of your life?
The happiest moment of my life was happened twice this year. Once when I was conferred with a honorary doctorate degree by the World Tamil University Tanjavur for my yeoman services to this society, where the pertinent question was asked, why you chose to serve. I said, hitherto people used to say differently abled, they will always beg, they will always ask some help from others. I want to prove to the world, here is a man who wants to help others, here is a man who wants to help the society. Then he asked, then why did you join Lionism? I said, see, if I join a differently abled organization, I will be able to serve only to a particular differently abled community. If I join the institutions like Lionism, where not only differently abled, all others are benefited. Suppose if I see a person who is having a cataract, who can't afford an operation, I make an arrangement for a free cataract operation. I make an arrangement for a free glaucoma operation. All those things I am able to do here in Lionism. So therefore, I always want to show, here is a man who is not going to beg any help from you, who wants to be with you, who wants to serve you. That was my happiest occasion. Then the another occasion was to receive the award from the President of India. President of India asked me, how do you feel now? So you are the guardian of the Constitution of India. I, being an advocate, it's a great honor to receive the award from the Constitution Guardian, sir. I said, he was so happy. He hugged me and he said, so far no one has told this to me. I said, sir, I, being an advocate, you are the constitutional head. It's always a great pleasure to receive the award from you, sir. So these two occasions, definitely, as far as this year is concerned, my proud and happiest moments. As you rightly said, if you can afford, don't ask anything free from anyone. Why I'm saying this? Once after I became an advocate, I stopped free bus pass. I stopped using concession in the trains. Why I did all those things was not to say that I have got crores of rupees money. No, that was not my intention. My intention was the government and other agencies know we are not here to beg anything from them. What we want is only your support, your opportunity. Without giving an opportunity, don't deny anyone an opportunity. If you see a blind advocate, provide him an opportunity. If he is able to deliver, give him the job. If he doesn't deliver, no problem. But without even giving an opportunity, don't say that blind cannot become an advocate. Don't say that deaf and dumb cannot become engineer. Don't say that orthopedical can never become doctor. Don't deny them an opportunity. Number two, to the differently able community, see, you can't expect a red carpet everywhere. Everywhere there will be discrimination. Everywhere there will be humiliation. Everywhere there will be heckling. Please throw it off. Wash it off. Continue your journey. Definitely one day you will feel the success. You take my life an example. When everyone said that I can't be a professional, even some of my relatives said, oh, your choice might be wrong. You cannot be an advocate. Today everyone says that we want to have dinner with you. We want to have photo. So I have changed the world. How? Only with my sheer willpower, determination, and of course hard work. And hard work is there. There's no, because you have to doubly do the hard work. Because if a normal person can read 500 pages in one day, we may take 3 days, no doubt. But that hard work you have to put in. Besides, sincerity, dedication, devotion and honesty. Suppose if you are not able to do particular thing, tell us, I don't have time, I will not be able to do. Instead of wasting their time and wasting our time, if you are able to serve the community, let us serve. Otherwise, let us not make them to be in the front of our house or office for so many days, simply wasting their time, our time. It's not proper. Let us, if you are able to do it, let us do it. But above all, my message to the society will be, please be sensitive about the requirements of the different people.
Thank you so much, Venkataji. It was honor speaking to you and learned a lot of things. And hopefully, my listener would learn a lot of things from you, and they will march on the path you have gone through. And as you became a productive part of the society, and hopefully, they will also do the same. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Lovely talking.
Pleasure is mine, Danish, and it's always a great pleasure in talking to you. As you rightly said, I request all the different labels, join hands together, be protective. Thank you.
तो लिसनर्स, आज बात की हमने वेंकटा कृष्णन जी से, जिन्होंने अपनी जर्नी के बारे में बताया, क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं लॉ में डिसेबल्ड के लिए, वो बताया, कैसे हम डिस्क्रिमिनेशन को वॉश्ड ऑफ कर सकते हैं। तो अगले सप्ताह फिर होगी किसी और पर्सनैलिटी के साथ मुलाकात।
इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेने वाले प्रतिभागियों के द्वारा दी जाने वाली जानकारी अथवा की जाने वाली चर्चा वास्तविक और काल्पनिक दोनों ही हो सकती हैं। चर्चा के दौरान किसी व्यक्ति के द्वारा दिए गए कथन एवं तथ्य के लिए कार्यक्रम के प्रस्तोता, प्रस्तुतकर्ता अथवा रेडियो स्टेशन प्रत्यक्ष या अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से जिम्मेवार नहीं है।
रेडियो उड़ान के अपडेट्स लेने के लिए इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और इस वीडियो को ज्यादा से ज्यादा लाइक कीजिए।